Hey everyone, it's the interview queen Alicia Atout here, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you all to my interview with Morgan from Sevendust. Hello.
Hey, hello.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great, actually. Somehow I'm great in this crazy world.
Right. I feel like a lot of people are like, taking it day by day, but great is a good answer to start things
Yeah,
off
yeah,
on.
yeah, totally. I got this little dude over here. Hold on, how do I do this? Let me
Yeah.
see. I got this little guy over here. He's like,
Oh, so
unenthused.
cute though.
Yeah.
Well, these times are definitely different, and this year has been absolutely crazy for so many people. I know some people, because of the downtime, have taken up cooking, while others are just binge watching tons of shows. So, what have you been doing other than, creating some tunes over there? What are some of those things
Yeah.
that you may have picked up during the downtime?
Well, it was crazy. I came to California in very beginning of March, and I was supposed to be here for like 2 or 3 days. So I just had started dating a girl, and she lived out here. So I was like, okay, cool. We'll take that step, and we'll spend some time in somebody's house. So I was supposed to be here 3 days, and then going to New York on the 9th to do interviews and prepare for getting ready for the Sevendust world. And so then this thing hit, and all my interviews were like, well, maybe you should hold on for a few days and let's see what's going on, because something's getting ready to happen here. And so that 2 or 3 days turned into 2 months. So I basically just like moved into my girlfriend's house. It's like, oh, we just started dating, oh, we live together.
Right. You make
So
do though. A lot of people have had to kind of think in this little time crunch. So,
yeah, it was wild. It was wild. So the funny thing is that, she's an engineer that, works on records. And so she had access to the studio. And I was like, I want to do something, So I called Clint, and he said, I'm going to send you some guitar riffs, and play drums and sing on it and see what happens. And so I ended up doing a solo record. Like it was a joke. I was just like, I'll just go in and record a little bit. I'm
right.
not a singer, I'm a screamer. And so I ended up doing this solo record, and Rise picked it up, and I was like, oh my God, I have a record deal as a solo artist now all of a
Went from
sudden.
joke to actual.
Yeah, it's a reality.
That's
And
amazing.
it was a trip. So that comes out. No one really knows it, actually. I don't even think they've announced it, but it comes out
Okay.
in November. Like they did on our stream, they teased it that it was coming out in November. So I did that. And then after being terrified, like most people for a few months, I was like, I have to live. I'll be careful. I'll wear a mask. I'll do, my due diligence in making sure that I stay as safe as possible and keep, everyone else safe around me. But I have to do something. So I ended up doing a few drum clinics, and then found, some bands that wanted me to produce. So I produced a bunch, and, so did a solo record, did a few drum clinics, and produced a bunch, and co-wrote a bunch for some bands, and
Keeping busy.
staying very busy. So, I mean, I'm like super busy. I mean, I go to Cincinnati. Me and Sean Foyce from Breaking Ben are going to do a clinic up there in November, and I have some production stuff to do around then. So it's kind of business as usual, just with a mask.
I'm really glad to hear that things are going so well, because there was a period at the very beginning of this where people were so scared to go places, and rightfully so, some still are.
Yeah.
And I know one of the things that you happen to not be able to stand is airports. So for you, was it kind of like one of
Yeah.
those little silver linings
Yeah.
at first where you were like, yes, I don't have to fly anywhere. This is kind of great.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, yeah. I'm well documented in my airport. I mean, I've had all kinds of stuff. I had an emergency landing over this time.
Oh,
All kinds of fun stuff. The wing flaps wouldn't come down on one of the planes I was in.
that's
Just weird.
terrifying.
Yeah, it was terrifying. I mean, all kinds of weird stuff. But I've flown probably more since the pandemic than I did even before, because usually we're on tour in a bus, and
Of
you do your
course.
flight in and your flight back. And so it's been a lot of flying, but, you know, I just stay as safe as I can. Like I said, I'm always wearing a mask, which, nowadays it's kind of like, oh, you're wearing a mask, you're part of the sheep problem, and I'm like, okay,
Right.
whatever, it's like, I, I, I take myself out of the political conversations because it's really, there's no win, you kill 50% of the people that support you, so, but the best I can do is just stay safe and try to, still make a living and keep the ball rolling.
Well, it definitely seems to be working for you. So I'm glad to
So
hear
far,
it.
so good.
So far,
So
so
far,
good.
so good. Yeah.
One of those things that's been keeping you busy and that's very exciting is the fact that Blood and Stone is officially out for everyone to dive into. And this is the band's 13th studio record, which is really a crazy number to think about. So
Yeah.
for you, when you think about it, 13 albums now over the years, if you were to go back to the beginning, did you ever think you would kind of get to this point, or is it such a family right now? You're like, yeah, let's
Yeah.
just keep cranking them out.
It's crazy. I mean, if someone asked me how many records we had, I wouldn't even have known it was 13. We just crank them out, I mean, we did
Really?
this last year in October. So this was not supposed to be like this, it was supposed to be the record comes out in, I think, June, and now it's like a year after we recorded it, so we're already like, these songs are old, man, like, let's do another record.
I know with a lot of bands, when songs get to the point where they're that old, of course, they're not stale by any means, but the whole point of it is to go out and actually tour those songs. So because they're so old, is it almost a bit of a relief that you don't have to go out and play them and you're like, okay, we can do something fresh and then do maybe some kind of virtual thing, or hopefully we'll get back to some kind of normal by the time the next release is out?
Yeah, I mean, it was funny because we did the live stream and I was like, okay, now they're not only old, but I've never really played them, so now it's like I have to learn how
Weird.
to play some of these songs. um as much as I have been busy, most of it has been production work, so very little drumming. I mean, I did my record that was done in a day or two, and then I did a few drum clinics, and those are a few hours long, and that's it. So really, before the stream, I mean, I'd basically almost not played drums for a year.
Wow.
And, I keep them out of my house. Like, we tour so much and are constantly playing that I just, like, they're the enemy to me. And when I get away from them, I'm like, I don't even want to see them. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh my God, I kind of wish I had some drums around here. So I had to rehearse myself to prepare for that. And then we had, a day of rehearsal to get ready for the live stream. So it was, plus just physically, I mean, I'm in the gym and stuff, but it's not the same as playing, and yet that adrenaline.
It's like
And then the
nonstop
stream.
cardio.
Yeah. Yeah. And then there's like, the adrenaline will get you through, but there's no crowd. So all of a sudden we're doing this live stream and there's no real adrenaline because there's nobody there. So it was challenging to do it. But yeah, 13 records. I just got off the phone with my manager, so there's plans for us to do something special at the beginning of next year. And then hopefully, we'll get back to business here shortly after.
Definitely. And something that you actually did on this record that was really cool is a specific cover that you put on it, which happens to be The Day I Tried to Live by Soundgarden. So out
Yeah.
of all songs that you could have chose, was it kind of a mutual decision? Like, hey, this is a great song, let's put our spin on it?
It was weird. Like, we've done a few covers, but we're such a strange band in that everyone's influences are different. So, you know, even though we all listen to similar stuff, the Soundgarden thing was, Cornell was, huge for us, and Soundgarden was huge for us growing up. And not many people try to bite that off because he's just an icon, and the band is ridiculously good, but Chris is obviously, that voice is
So
not,
distinctive.
yeah, and it's not like, you don't want to roast that song. So, or any Soundgarden or Cornell stuff. So me and Clint had talked about it, and we started going through the catalog, and it was like, no, no, just like knocking them off. Like, we can't put Lejeune through that, no, no. And then we landed on that one, and, it's strange. The song kind of fits the climate a little bit, even though that's not obviously what he wrote it about, but it just lyrically, and the title, just kind of fit the climate. But it was ironic. I mean, everything was great when we recorded it.
Yeah.
But that song was the one that we thought we would have the best chance of succeeding with. It wasn't even like that was our favorite song that Chris ever had anything to do with. It was just
Right.
that one might be doable. And the agreement was, we're going to do it. And if it doesn't do it justice, we're going to burn it. We're not even going to let it be ever. No one will ever hear it. We did not want that out there. So, we all worked on it, and then Lejean went in and sang it, and we were there, but we were like, we're not even in the room. We're going to let him do his thing with Elvis, and we're going to stay out of it. And then we heard it, and I'm like, he just killed this. Like, he just killed this song. And so that was it. It was like, okay, I guess it's going to see the light of day. And
I'm
that was
glad it
that.
did.
Yeah. I really love the song. And I mean, I had my little, like, I don't know Matt Cameron. I had gone out actually a few nights before Chris had passed away. Ben, I was with a friend of mine who was on tour with them, and Ben came over and had a few beers with us, and we had some food. And but he's really the only one that I'd ever even met. And
Okay.
so uh, it was wild because the song came out, and then like I got an Instagram message from Matt Cameron, and I'm like, oh, I'm freaked out.
Yeah,
You
you're
know,
like, what's this gonna say?
and he's like following me on Instagram, and I'm like, fanboy. I'm
Nice.
fully fanboying out right now. I'm like, hope you're doing good, Matt. It's all good, bro. And inside, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, Matt Cameron is like following me on Instagram,
That's
and I'm
awesome.
not like a huge social media guy, but just him acknowledging that we had done it and saying that we did a good job was all I needed. I didn't really, you want everyone to like it, but if Matt Cameron tells you that it's cool, I'm like, it's cool.
It's pretty
So
gratifying. That's a real
yeah,
stamp of approval.
I was like, we're good. We don't have to worry about what anybody thinks now. Matt Cameron said it's cool.
Right. Well, since we're talking about covers, of course, we're talking about one that you did. But I was curious to know if you could have any band put their spin on one of your tracks, who would you freak out and just love to see do so?
Oh God. I mean, I've been asked the question if I could play with anybody, who would
Of
it be? And I've
course.
always said Nine Inch Nails. So I would love to see if Trent Reznor could like tear apart one of our songs, because a lot of our songs have a dark theme to them. And as far as the progressions, a lot of them, we like Major Minor, which is dark and sad and, depressing sometimes. But um, a lot of that came from our influence from Nine Inch Nails. We just loved that dark mood. And it doesn't always come across with us, but I think that if like somebody like Trent got a hold of it, he could really bring it out.
Definitely. And I'm happy you brought up darkness there because the last thing I wanted to talk about is how you've self coined yourself actually as probably the biggest horror fanatic of the band. So, the last thing I wanted to know is have you seen any good horror films lately during this whole pandemic? Does anything kind of come to mind?
Oh God. I mean, it's me and my girlfriend will basically just find it's all murder shows, or anything. Like we watched The Staircase, is really good.
All those good documentaries.
Yeah, we love the documentaries and stuff like that. As far as horror films go, I mean, it's been a lull lately because of all this. We watched something the other day that was pretty good. I can't even remember the name of it. But we find them. We go on Netflix or whatever, one of those streaming thing. We got them all, so we just find something, Amazon or whatever,
Yeah.
and we look for horror, and we're like, how many stars does it have? If it has one, we're in. If it has five, we're in. Anything in the middle is like, eh. But like, because sometimes the ones that are the worst are
Are the
comic.
best.
Yeah, so we're good with either one of those.
Yeah, sometimes it's way more fun to laugh at it than be
Yeah.
scared.
Oh yeah, totally, for sure. And she won't watch them really when I'm not here, so I I get bombarded with the horror stuff when we're together.
Right. Well, I really do want to say thank you so much for taking the time and coming on here today. It's been an absolute
Oh,
pleasure being able to
absolutely.
speak with you, Morgan.
Yeah, you too as well. Thank you.
Absolutely. Everyone, this has been Morgan Rose from Sevendust. I am the interview queen, Alicia Atout. Of course, be sure to check out Blood and Stone, available now, and go to aliciaatout.com for more exclusive interviews and features. We'll see you next time, everyone. Bye.